Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, GITTEN DAF Pei Beis. We begin Perek HaMegarish, the last and final Perek of our dear Masechta. Says the Mishnah around 10 lines from the top of the Amud, HaMegarish es Ishtay. So this fellow divorced his wife and he stipulated something very unusual. V'amarlan, he tells her as he's giving her the get, says Rashi, B'sh'as Masira, as he's giving over the get, he says, look, Hariyat muteres l'chol adam. Okay, you're able to marry anybody. So that's a standard phrase. Okay, this get enables you to marry anybody. But he has something in mind. Anybody except for such and such. I have something against that. You can't marry that person. Is the get valid? Rabbi Lezer matter. According to Rabbi Lezer, the get works. So she's divorced and she has to keep that condition. V'chachamim oishim, they say no. No way. There is no such a thing as partial divorce. I'm divorcing you, but I'm still holding you back from marrying such and such. So what do you do to fix this up? According to the Chachamim, Ketzad Yaseh, what is he meant to do? You have to redo the handing over of the get. Yitlanu eimena, take back the get from her, v'yachzer v'yitnan, and he gives it back to her. And this time he does it right. V'yemer la, and he tells her, Hareyat muteres l'chol adam, no restrictions. And that's if it was a verbal stipulation. So you could cancel that by redoing the nesina. But if it was inscribed, if it was written in the get, if they wrote this condition into the get, you can't undo that. Even if he decided to scrape that off to erase that line, it doesn't work because the get was written in an incorrect manner. Now, the Mishnah uses a lashon, ella. Right, you're mutter to anybody, elo leploni. Now, if it would say chutz mi ploni, you're able to marry anybody except, so it's an exception, it's a chutz. We're leaving him out of this system. The process is not going to benefit such and such person. That would be considered chutz. Except. Now, if you would have said almanas, that would be just a regular condition. It's a full divorce. You're free to marry anybody, but I'm conditioning this divorce, this comprehensive divorce, I'm conditioning it upon you not marrying Reuven. So in that case, it would be a tanai, a condition. So if it would be chutz, it's an exception. Divorce is not helping that, it's not benefiting that person. It's not being applied with respect to you marrying that person. That's one track. On the other hand, if you would say almanas, you're mutter to anybody, almanas on condition you don't marry that person. So in this case, it's a full comprehensive divorce, but there's a condition attached. Just like you can say, almanas, you give me $100, almanas that it rains, almanas it snows tomorrow, almanas, you won't marry that person. But the question is, how do we define the lashon of our Mishnah? Ella. You're mutter to all, ella lepleni, iboilu. That's the question. Hi Ella. This term Ella, what does it really mean? Chutzu? Is it accepting? It's making an exception that you're mutter to anybody except for that person? Oy almanasu. Or is it simply like a condition? Technically, you're mutter to anybody, even to Reuven, but I don't want you marrying Reuven. So that's the condition I'm setting. Now, what difference does it make whether it's chutz, whether it's almanas? Are these just semantics? No, big difference. Haich ela chutzu oy almanasu. Chutzu, is it a form of chutz? Ubu chutzu de pligi Rabban Leid Rabbi Lezer. And only because it is defined as chutz, that is the reason why the Chachamim disagree. Don't allow it to go through. The hashir la beget, because it was really a partial divorce. He left something out in the get. The get is meant to disengage, disconnect the husband from the wife. Fully, completely, comprehensively, without strings attached. But here, when he's saying chutz, if Ella is a form of saying chutz, so basically, it's not a full divorce. With respect to that person, Ruvain, she's not really divorced. So she's still associating with her former husband with respect to her ability or inability to marry Ruvain. It's deficient within the divorce process. It's a deficiency within the divorce process itself. So that's why they disagree with Rabbi Lezer. You can't do that. That's not a get. Because it's defined as chutz. Aval ba'amanas moidule. But suppose he would have clearly said, instead of Ella, he would have said, Almanas, you know what, you're fully divorced, but I have a condition I want to set. I want to set forth the following condition. Don't marry such and such. Aval ba'amanas moidule. Perhaps they would agree with Rabbi Lezer that it works. You can set any condition you want. Me that I have alcohol tonight, the almost like an elder tonight. So that's one option to understand the Mishnah. The word Ella denotes chutz, and that's why there's an issue. If he would have merely said Almanas, no issue. Or you can say, let's go on a different track. Almanasu. Ella is really another form of saying Almanas. It's a full divorce, even with respect to marrying Reuven, but I don't want you marrying Reuven, so I'm setting that as a condition. Uba Almanasu the Pal Rabbi Lezer, and it's only because we treat it as a condition, therefore Rabbi Lezer says, it can go through. That's why he disagrees ad Rabbanan. But let's say he would have used the word chutz. Even Rabbi Lezer would agree it doesn't work because he's giving her an incomplete get, an incomplete divorce process. So which way is it? We know what chutz means. We know what almanas means. What does Ella mean? Amar Ravina Tashma, I'll prove to you that Ella is another way of saying chutz. Kol abatim metamen b'negoyim. Any home in Eretz Yisrael has the potential to be affected by a nega found in a home, Ella shel oivdei, except for a non-Jewish home. Ella. Now, what does Ella mean? I amres b'shleim chutzu shaper. It makes sense if Ella in this context means except all homes except the Goyish homes. Ella amres almanasu. But if Ella is another way of saying on condition almanas, does that make sense in this context? So we're saying all homes can have negoyim, almanas goyim, on condition that goyim don't. Almanas dolei metamu bate of gechavim, on condition that the non-Jewish homes don't be affected. Hu de metamu bate Yisrael, that's when the Jewish homes are affected. Ha metamu bate of gechavim. But if it were so that the non-Jewish homes would be affected by negoyim, loy metami bate Yisrael, the Jewish homes would not become tummy, meaning it doesn't hold water in this case. It doesn't really stand out grammatically. It doesn't work. Another raya v'oid batei oiv dekichav mimatami. You can't learn Ella as a way of saying almanas condition in this case because it makes it sound like on condition that we don't apply Negoyim to Goyish homes, such and such will happen, which almost sounds like potentially they can have Negoyim, and it's untrue. Another kasha on this way of learning. Is it even possible that a bias can become tummy with Negoyim? Batani of a brisa, focusing on the pasuk which says V'nosati nega tzaras. Hashem will apply Negoyim bebeis eretz achuzaschem, in a home which is your inheritance. Eretz achuzaschem, a Jewish-owned property, can have negoyim mitama b'negoyim ve'ein batei oidei kechavim mitama b'negoyim. So it's not even a possibility. You can't place it as a condition. It's not even a possibility. Elish mamino chutzu shmamino. It's clear from this raya that the term Ella is just another way of saying chutz. All homes can have negoyim except for non-Jewish homes, and likewise, the word Ella in our Mishnah is another way of saying chutz, which almost sounds like if he would have said it differently, if he would have said almanas, so learn some Rishonim. If he would have said almanas, even the Chacham would agree that it's like any other condition that he can stipulate, and it works. So having said that, masnisn d'loikei tanu. Our Mishnah, which holds that the machlekes pertains to a case of chutz, is not working with the following Tana's approach. The Sanya Amr Rabbi Yehuda. There's no discussion amongst the Shitas. Ala Megarishes Ishtay v'Amrla Hariyat Materis l'Chaladam Chutz Mi Pleni. There's no discussion. If he says you can marry anybody except for such and such, in this case, it doesn't take off. Because it's an inherent deficiency in the divorce process. When do we have a discussion? Meaning, when can we say that it works, according to Blazer? Here it's totally different. It's just a condition. It's a full divorce, but I'm conditioning it upon, you conforming. In this case, we have the machlokes. Blazer says, you know what? It's a full divorce. Free to marry anybody, except for this person. If you know what's good for you, if you want the divorce to stand. The Chachamim, they disagree. It's not a proper divorce. It doesn't work. So this is a different approach to the sugya, according to this brisa. If he stipulates chutz, or ella, which is a way of saying chutz, at least according to one approach, it wouldn't work. And the only reason why it does work, according to Rabbi Lezer, is because he said almanas. He conditioned it. So now, what's the machlokes about? My time with Rabbi Lezer. Why does Rabbi Lezer consider this a valid get? Because he says, look, midi dahava, it's like any other condition. Akol tnai da'alma. What's this different than if it snows tomorrow? The get is out tonight that you listen to me. You don't marry Reuben. So it's a proper get. V'rabbanan, they respond, no, how can you compare? This is a tonight which touches the core of the divorce process. Right? It stands in the way. It presents a barrier in terms of her actualizing the divorce process. It's a contradiction in terms. Your typical standard condition, is not a deficiency. It's nothing left out of the get. It's not an incompleteness in the get. But here, it reflects an incomplete get. If you can't go ahead and marry anybody, then you're not really divorced. So that's what the machlokes is about, if the machlokes pertains to a tanai, to almanas, to a condition. But back to our Mishnah's approach, that we're discussing chutz. How do we explain that? Machlokes. Mas nissen, lo kimna b'chutz. And our Mishnah's approach, that the machlokes is about leaving something out of divorce, not conditioning, but leaving something out. She's divorced with respect to everybody except for him. So then it's a bit tougher to understand. My time at Rabbi Lezer. Why do we say, according to Rabbi Lezer, that it works? Rabbi Yanai quoted a certain elder. It's based on a pasuk. Amakra v'yatzmi beisai. V'holcha v'hoisa li'ish acher. So this is a straight quote from the pasuk, describing the divorce process. She leaves him and goes and marries somebody else. Li'ish acher. And we learn, afilu lo hitira elu li'ish echad. Even if she's only mutter to one person. Harizim Guresh, as it works. For Rabbanan respond, Hi. Ish. L'chol ish ve'ish. Ish is a general term referring to every single individual person out there. So unless she can marry anybody of her choice, she's not divorced. For Rabbi Yehuda Amar, he has a different source for Rabbi Lezer. Time of the Rabbi Lezer mihacha. Rabbi Lezer is sourced in the following pasuk. Isha grusha miisha lo yikachu. Kalyana may not marry a divorcee. An Isha who was divorced by her husband. Now, of course, you divorced from your husband. Why does the pasuk have to add that word? We learn from here. Afilu linisgasha elam isha. Even if it was only a partial divorce. Her husband divorced her, but told her you can't marry anybody. So she was only divorced from him, so to speak. The divorce process didn't help her with respect to enabling her marriage with anybody else. Even that shaky divorce is sufficient to affect her status vis-a-vis a kohen. Nivsila min hakahuna, Rashi brings this, is called Reyach HaGet, which the Gemara discusses in Yavamis Nun Beis. It has a structure of a get. It's not really an effective get. Alma Havagita. So we learn from here that even this type of partial divorce is considered a divorce. And likewise, in our case, he was even a bit more generous than that fellow. He said, look, you can marry anybody, but he left somebody out. Nevertheless, we consider a divorce. That's Rabbi Elazar's right. No, so what did Rabbanan do with this right? Rabbanan, Isser Kuhuna Shani. How can you compare? Kayhanim. They have higher standards. Rashi says, Sheriba b'henakos of mitzvahs yiseret. They have many more mitzvahs than the ordinary Israel has. So, with respect to divorce definitions, we treat them more stringently, and even this is considered somewhat of divorce. And she's disqualified from marrying a kohen who cannot marry a divorcee. But with respect to, validity of a get, with respect to considering it a proper divorce, this is not really a divorce, unless you're matir her to anybody. Okay, so let's just stop for a second. This fellow gives her a get. Harayat materis l'chol adam elo l'pleni. Rabbi Elazar says it works. You can marry anybody except for that person. Chacham say it's not a get. Approach number one is elo means chutz. So he's leaving something out of the divorce process. Divorced with respect to everybody except for that person. Rabbi Elazar says it works based on the pasuk here or the pasuk there. Chacham disagree on both accounts. The Bryce's approach was that he said almanas. It wasn't something lacking within the divorce process. It was a full divorce on condition, just like you can say on condition that it snows tomorrow, on condition you won't marry that person. Rabbi Elazar says you can do that. Chacham say no. This touches the core of the divorce process. It's a contradiction in terms. It doesn't work. Here comes a new twist on this sugya. Just like it works just like we have this discussion by divorce, by the get, we have a similar application with respect to kiddushin, marrying an isha, engaging the isha. But Rababa has a question. B'kiddushin haich. Can we apply the same model to kiddushin, to marrying, to engaging an isha? How's that? So he tells her, look, you're mekudesh to me, which basically designates her as his, right? That's the whole point of kedushin. Like hegdish, designation. Miyuchad, right? So going forward, you're off limits to anybody except for that and such person. Okay, so Reuven was mekadesher. You're usher to anybody going forward except for Shimon. Shimon can marry you. So again, it's an incomplete kiddushin process. What would you say in that case? Tiboy le Rabbi Elazar. This question can be applied to Rabbi Elazar. Tiboy le Rabban. It can apply to the Rabban as well. Tiboy le Rabbi Elazar. How does this question apply to Rabbi Elazar? Perhaps. Ad kan leika amar Rabbi Elazar hacha elam sham ksivi kroi. Perhaps it's only by get. The Rabbi Elazar says, well, this fellow with the shenanigans, we have to accept it because of the psukim that we had. Aval hasam kinyan ma'ali ba'inu. But when it comes to kiddushin, either you do it right or you don't do it at all. That's one way to look at it. So this kiddushin doesn't really work. But perhaps we can apply that well-known connection, that hekesh between leaving and becoming, between divorce and marriage, which are stated in close proximity in that pasuk, right? It says v'yatzam beisa v'alcha v'hoisa. So kedushin follows the same, guidelines. It models divorce, and if you can do this type of funny arrangement by divorce, you can do a similar thing by kedushin. That's one shaila. According to Rabbi Elazar, does it work? Does it not work? Tiboy l'Rabban, the same thing could be applied to the Rabbanon. Ad kan leika amir Rabbanon hach el be'inin krusas v'leka. Perhaps it's only by the get that they don't allow it because it's not a proper divorce. It's not krisus. A get is meant to be sefer krisus. And if she's still bound to her former husband, i.e. she can't marry a man of her choice, and it's lacking in that disconnect. So that's why it doesn't work. Aval hasam kinyan koldu. But when it comes to kedushin, perhaps even this incomplete marriage works. Or perhaps no. V'yatzav ha'isa. We connect divorce to marriage, and if it doesn't work by divorce, it cannot work by marriage either. So it's a double-pronged question. So after he asked this question, he came up with a solution. You know what? Let's keep it simple. Bein the Rabbi Lezer, bein the Rabbanon, bein v'yatzav v'hoisa. Whether you're Rabbi Lezer or you're the Shittas Rabbanon, we connect divorce to marriage. V'yatzav v'hoisa. Rabbi Lezer, who allows this by divorce, allows it by marriage, and the Rabbanon don't allow it by divorce, don't allow it by kedushin as well. Amar Abayi. Let's take it a step further. Im timtzaloymar isa lid the Rabbi Abba. If we are to assume that Rabbi Abba's approach is correct, meaning that according to Shittas, Rabbi Eliezer, you can do this arrangement by kedushin. Let's proceed and describe a very, very interesting case and see how it affects a potential yibum situation. Ba Reuven v'Kitcha chutz m'Shimon. We have Reuven and Shimon. Happen to be brothers. So Reuven approaches Rachel, I'm mekadesh you to me, except for with reference to Shimon, meaning Shimon can still marry you. Uba Shimon v'Kitcha. Now Shimon comes along and is mekadesh her, chutz m'Reuven. But instead of being mekadesh her totally, which would make her usher on Reuven now, he says, look, you're mine, but it doesn't affect Reuven's relationship with you. And now both Reuven and Shimon pass away without any kids. So Levi, the third brother, can perform Yibum. I don't consider Rachel to be married to two men, which is typically a problem when it comes to Yibum. You can't be Miyabim and Isha belongs to two men. Why not? Why is she not Esher Shnei Mesim? My time. Gemara asked the kasha. My time. Look, Kiddushin Reuven, the Reuven Ahanu. Because Reuven's Kiddushin accomplished something. Right? He made her usher on anybody. Except for Shimon, but anybody else is now off limits. So it accomplished something. Kiddushin de Shimon lo Yahanu. But on the other hand, when Shimon's turn came about, if he would have been mekadesh her and said, look, you're mine now going forward and you can't be back with Reuven, he can do that. Because Reuven allowed him to go and engage Rachel as well. So if he would have approached her and said, look, you're mine and going forward you're off limits to Reuven, so Shimon's Kedushin would have been exclusive of Reuven, then his Kedushin accomplished something. And she would identify with him. But in this case where he was Mekadesh and he said, look, you're mine, but it's not going to affect Reuven. You can still stay on with Reuven. So it accomplished nothing. It did nothing in terms of creating a barrier around this Isha. Kedushin Reuven Ahanu. Reuven's Kedushin did something. Kedushin de Shimon Loyanu. But Kedushin of Shimon didn't make her usher on anybody. So she's not considered. An Isha of Kedushin. She's not married to Shimon. She's not an Isha of Shimon. She's not married to Shimon. She's only considered Reuven's wife. Because the definition of marriage, the definition of Kedushin is Yom Kodesh to me, as opposed to anybody else, at the exclusion of anybody else. You have to accomplish an Isra. You have to create a barrier around the Isha. So Reuven did that, but Shimon didn't do that. So she's really only Reuven's wife, and she's a perfect Yavama to Levi. So again, briefly speaking, we have three brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven was Mekadesh to Isha and says, look, you're mine, usher to anybody except for Shimon. Shimon approached her and says, you're mine now, I'm Mekadesh you, but he forgot to say that you become usher on Reuven. So he didn't add any additional aspect of Isra to her, so he didn't really make a Kedushin, which by definition is meant to restrict her. He didn't do anything. So she's merely Reuven's wife and not Shimon's. How do we have a case of Eisha Shnei Mesim in this type of circumstance? Like we said, suppose Reuven would have been Mekadesh her So you're usher on anybody except for Shimon, right? So that's so far the same as before. But when Shimon came along, he did add restriction. Uba Shimon v'kitcha stam. Shimon came along and says, look, Ami Mekalishu stam, which means going forward, you're going to be usher on Reuven as well. So both men did something. Both men posed restrictions on the Isha. The Kedusha Reuven ahanu l'meisra halma. Reuven's Kedushin made her usher on anybody else except for Shimon. The Kedusha the Shimon ahanu. Kedusha Shimon also. Shimon's Kedushin also accomplished l'meisra Reuven to make her usher on Reuven. So she identifies with both men. She's called Esha Shnei Mesim, and there's no evil. Continues the Gemara. So let's just go back to the case of the Mishnah. Basic halacha, harayat muteres l'chol adam, except for such and such. Boya Abaye. Says Abaye, what happens if Amar lo harayat muteres l'chol adam? You can marry anybody. Chutz Reuven v'Shimon. Now he added Shimon to the list, except Reuven and Shimon. So basically, you're mutter to anybody, and also to Reuven and Shimon. V'chaza v'Amar lo, and he comes back and he says the following two words, without elaborating. Li Reuven v'Shimon. We have no idea what he meant. Ma'u. How do we interpret those words? Mi amrinan ma'ida asar shara. Shall we say that he cancelled his stipulation? He was now matir, Reuven and Shimon. Ma'ida asar, those who he had prohibited, i.e. Reuven and Shimon, are now permitted. Or shall we say he just flipped everything around? He kept the arrangement, but in the reverse. Until now, everybody was mutter and Reuven and Shimon were asr. Now he switched it around. Everybody became asr and Reuven and Shimon became mutter. Ma'ida asar shara. Reuven and Shimon, who he had made asr, are now mutter. U'ma'ida shara asr. And those that he was matter, anybody else, became asr. Imtim selaymar ma'ida asar shara. If we assume the first approach, that when he came back and says Reuven and Shimon, he just meant to say, let them join the crowd. Everybody's mutter to you. Okay, assuming so. What if he would say, it's a string of questions, one after the other. L'Reuven ma'u. Suppose he doesn't come back and say L'Reuven v'Shimon, he just says L'Reuven. L'Reuven v'Uaden l'Shimon. Did he mean both? V'ayda kam L'Reuven. The reason why he mentioned Reuven is because the first one, Mishum de Pasach, because it was the first one. But he really meant both. Or perhaps L'Reuven dafka, he meant specifically Reuven, but he didn't go back on Shimon. Perhaps he means Reuven dafka, l'Shimon ma'u. What happens if he comes back and says Shimon, who is number 2? Ma'u. Shimon v'odin Reuven. Did he really mean both? Why did he specifically single out Shimon? Because that was the last name that he mentioned. He just really meant everybody instead of going back and saying Reuven and Shimon. He said, oh yeah, Shimon, meaning both are really mutter. Shimon dafko. Perhaps he meant specifically to be matter Shimon, but Reuven remains us. But Rabashi has another question. Af l'Shimon ma'u. Assuming, explains Rashi, assuming, by just saying l'Shimon, he means only Shimon, but Reuven remains Aser. What about Af l'Shimon? Oh, so Shimon. Af l'Shimon ma'u. How do we treat that? What is the Af? Af means to add, right? Also. Af l'Reuven koy. It's going back on Reuven as well. Not only Reuven, also Shimon, so he's being mat Reuven and Shimon. Idilma Af alma koy. Oh, perhaps Reuven remains Aser. When he said Af l'Shimon, he meant, well, remember, everybody else was mutter. I'm also adding Shimon to that grand list, but Reuven remains usher to you. Take it, we leave it unresolved. So bottom line is, we have a fellow who was megarish and left something out. Rabbi Yehuda says it works. Chacham say it doesn't. Two ways to understand: is it chutz? Is it almanas? We have rayas and psukim to both shitos. According to Rabbi Abba, the same thing applies by kiddushin. Rabbi Yehuda follows his approach, and Rabbanan theirs. We have Abaye's interesting arrangement pertaining to yibum. And then we end with Abaye, and then ultimately Rav Ashi's shaila regarding wording and phrases and interpretations. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha, Rabbi.